Okay, well, hello. We are here again at Guitar Chat, brought to you by Vegatrem, the best tremolo system in the market for sure. And we are very happy tonight because we have a very good guest. Of course, I mean, in this program, we will have always amazing guests. But especially today, I'm very thrilled, I'm very happy because this is a total badass on the guitar, great singer, songwriter, producer. And he's been touring all over the place, all over the world, in the US, in Europe, in many other places. He has released a bunch of albums already, and he's doing, of course, a lot of stuff. And he's always been awarded in Austin, Texas, a bunch of times, a couple of times, as best guitar player in the Austin Music Awards in 2015, and also as best blues funk band in 2015 and 2016, and also in the European Blues Challenge. He and his band got in the finals, which is a great deal because everybody knows the how big the level is in the blues, right? In Europe, not only in America. So without further ado, I introduce you Mr. Ulrich Ellison. Hello, Ulrich.
All right.
Yay! Nice.
I look like a ghost.
Why do I look
like a ghost?
You look like the Invisible Man. What did you do there?
Hold on for a second.
Okay.
Quite an appearance. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, I think it's one of my filters here. Let me see.
Okay, there you go. Nice.
Anyhow, good to see you. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Good to see you too. I'm not gonna cut that. That's good.
No. Hey, we could never do this again. This is completely unique.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. That's the best presentation ever. Okay, let me ask you something. Was it accurate what I said?
Well, it made me feel a little uncomfortable, but yeah, I mean, on paper, you were right.
Okay. Well, that's
yes.
That's the only thing that matters. That's
honestly, I'm just happy about any piece of recognition because, as you know, that helps us to spread our music.
Yes,
any
man.
coverage that we get just helps us to share our music with the world, and that's really what I'm about. So,
man, that couldn't be farther from the. I mean, that's completely true. Sorry, it's completely true because, of course, this business it's hard, as everyone knows already. It's a very hard business, and of course, recognitions like that, and especially international recognitions, are very important, and especially in a place like Austin, Texas, that we both love so much, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I wanted to start the interview with that, right? Because we met each other there, right? In Austin, and you've been an Austin musician for a while, right?
I mean, over 12 years. Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time. So you were already.
Still sound a little bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but yeah, no. Coming from Austria, for sure. I mean, landing in Texas was a big deal to me. And of course, when you have that experience, it shapes your musical path. I'm sure it did with you as well.
Oh yeah.
It just leaves some footprints in your sound, in your musical approach. So I'm forever thankful for that.
It's pretty cool because, of course, I'm pretty sure you agree with me in this. The first thing you notice when you get there is the cultural shock, right? You, for instance, coming from Europe, it's a cultural shock, but at the same time, it's a musical shock as well, right? Because we've talked about this before, right? About what happens when you first get there and you discover the music scene in Austin, Texas, right?
Well, for sure. I mean, you don't have streets with 50 clubs in any of the Austrian cities that I used to be before, and like 24/7 live music everywhere. And that's one part of it, but also the attitude. That's kind of the biggest cultural shock to me, that everything is just a little bit more easygoing in the States in general, and then in the southern states particularly. And of course, when you live in Texas longer, then you find out other things again. But I still remember my first impression was just like, wow, everyone is so nice. There is no jealousy, envy, everyone is ready to throw his guitar to you to hear you play. And it was just an incredible experience, for me coming as a stranger.
It's true. I mean, it takes time maybe to feel like a local over there, but once you're in for good, right? It's like sorry, go ahead.
Right. You mentioned something important, to become a local, that's a whole different story, like first the initial hospitality is like overwhelming, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be a part of the scene. And both you and me know that it's already hard enough for any musician to kind of get a break in Austin, Texas, with thousands of musicians coming there from all over the world, so it's not like you go there and can expect any special treatment just because you're SEFO from Madrid or Ulrich from Vienna. So nobody's waiting for you there. But there is still something about this American dream idea that when you work hard, when you have something to offer, then there is a chance that you can share it, and that happens. There's no limit upwards, kind of. I got that feeling when I moved to Austin, that freedom feeling.
Yeah, true. I experience exactly the same thing, but at the same time, I don't know. Yeah, you're totally right. It takes time to become a local, right?
It
takes probably a lot of time, but once you just start, getting friends over there, the sense of community among the musicians, it's something very important. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I think, it seems like in Austin, the community spirit is larger because it's kind of tougher to make it, everybody sticks together more, there's fundraisers and supporting gestures. Almost every week something is going on to help some musician in need, I never experienced that before. Of course, we have healthcare in Europe. That's a big part of it. There's always help, always around the corner, and benefits and all that, and sharing. But I want to say something about being local, because that was interesting for me.
Okay.
I was working so hard to become a local. Like for the first 2-3 years, I really want to become part of the scene. And right when I became local, I realized that I needed to get out of town.
That's crazy, man. Why was that?
Well, I mean, you can only play so many shows within the Austin city limits, and there's only, even with the many clubs that there are, there's only a limited number of clubs that you play, and your fan base, once you start building your name, you're not gonna sell out a venue every weekend unless you're Bob Schneider.
True.
But it's just like, so you have to, once you start, I mean, when I released my first songwriter album, then I realized, okay, now I have my original music. I need to play in front of strangers. I need to go out there and kind of start building a fan base, people that like my music. And that's what a lot of Austin acts do as well. Like they go out and tour, and then when they come home, they can just play local gigs to kind of stay in shape and mingle. That alone is not gonna be sufficient. Yeah.
Of course, yeah, you're not gonna make your living just by playing in small bars in Austin, of course.
Yeah,
but it sure is fun, right?
It is definitely fun. You meet so many great people.
Yeah,
and make so many friends. Yeah,
it's true. It's true. I really miss them all. I really miss them. I wanted to ask you a question. So you moved to Austin and you studied at the university. You studied jazz guitar over there, right?
I did. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so before you moved to Austin, did you release any record of your own in Austria or nothing like that? So I guess my question would be, did you start your professional career as a professional musician in Texas, or you already had started in Europe before?
So basically, I started playing professionally when I moved to Vienna. That was 2000. Yeah.
Okay.
So I studied. I started a music degree at the University of Music in Vienna.
Okay.
And as a student, I was just playing a lot, but I didn't have the full pressure of having to earn a full-time living. Basically, I was still a student.
Got it.
But so then basically when I graduated, it just kind of happened in a strange way that, I got a scholarship right when I graduated. And at first I didn't even want to go back to school. But that was my ticket to come to the university in Texas, in Austin, to study jazz guitar, that scholarship. And so right before I left, I released a debut album. And I kind of wanted to have a business card, musical business card to show the world what I'm up to,
Yeah.
So that first record is an instrumental record, and it's pretty much a jazz rock, very jazz rock influenced album. And it's called Tales from the Kingdom Electric. That was 2007. So that was my first record that I had in my hands when I came to Texas.
Nice.
And it actually helped me to win that first Downbeat award, that student award that I won with that record. Yeah.
Nice. Wow, that's great. That's cool, man. So you said you started doing like a jazz, something like a little more into the jazz, but when I met you, you were already a blues guy or blues rock guy. So how do you think being there shaped your music? According to being there, hanging out with other musicians, and I'm pretty sure you think this as well. And is that geography has a lot to do with how a musician sounds, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I mean, I was interested in everything, even before I came to Austin. And then being at UT, I just embraced every opportunity I had to practice and learn new stuff. I mean, I had jazz teachers since I was like 22, so I've been studying jazz, of course, before.
Yeah,
I got that scholarship, but the 2 years in Austin while I was at UT, was just a unique opportunity for me to really dig in deep.
Yeah.
And really like play with big bands, I hadn't really done that before, and do some more ensemble writing and do the more academic kind of, aspects of musicianship. And then at the same time, once the courses were over at 6 p.m., I would head downtown and play with blues bands. So it was this crazy limbo, between academic and street musician, kind of street level musician.
Well, in my opinion, that's the best experience a musician can get, man, because you, in one hand, you have all the academic knowledge, which is great, which is amazing. But in the other hand, you have the street knowledge, right? And that's the best musicians that I've met in my life were people who had both things, that one thing, and the other thing, people who grew into musical families as well. Is that your case as well, or not?
No, not at all, actually. I mean, my parents play a little bit, accordion and violin, but no, I'm the only one that really went that path.
Okay, but you know what, man? It's like, even if, I don't know, maybe if they didn't, if they didn't do it professionally, if you had musical instruments around in your house, I think that's very important as well, for your development, right, as a kid.
No, you're
right?
completely right. You know, and my parents were supportive at a very young age. You know, we bought a piano when I was 9 years old. You know, and I started at a conservatory. So piano is my first instrument.
Wow, okay.
But yeah, but also, you know, the record collection that your parents have. You know, I think that's one of the deciding factors of
True.
where you're gonna gravitate to musically. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
in
yeah.
my case, my mom loved violin players, so you know, early on, I kind of had that violin tone in my head,
Uh-huh.
and I'm sure that influenced my guitar playing
Well,
somehow.
I'm sure of that because I've seen you playing with the bow.
Busted, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then also, you know, my dad was into jazz, and you know, we had Miles Davis records at home, and then Jimi Hendrix records. So for sure, you know, what your parents have at home at an age where you cannot buy records yet, you know, the music that you have at home. I remember spending hours with our vinyl record player and just having it on auto repeat, and just, you know, it would keep on going for hours.
Awesome, man. That's great. That's incredible. That's pretty cool, man.
How about you? How was that with you?
Well, it's crazy because in my family, it wasn't a very musical family at all. My first musical memories are probably, you know, my parents listening to cassettes in the car, you know, going from one place to another, and it was Spanish rumba. You know, rumba.
Oh, okay.
It's something people, the Spanish speaking people that are watching us, probably it's gonna ring the bell for them. It's like los chichos, los chunguitos, that kind of. It's like the Spanish rap from the 80s. we could say it was something like that, you know. And that was my first, you know, childhood memory. But what really got me into music was my older siblings. You know, I'm the youngest. I have an older brother and an older sister. So my older brother was into 50s music, into rock and roll, things like that, you know.
Okay.
And then my sister was into 80s heavy metal, you know, hair metal, all those things, right? So I just got stuck in the middle, you know. I don't know why. One day I found a Led Zeppelin cassette in my house, you know. And I didn't know, I never knew who brought it there, you know, because as far as I knew, my brother and my sister, neither of them listened to Led Zeppelin. So I don't know, man, it was crazy, but I just found that cassette tape and it totally changed my life forever, you know. I started listening to and that was yeah, that was it. Yeah, I was like, you know what, I wanna be that guy.
No, you know, I also had a cassette, yeah, but my cassette was this.
Oh,
that was my cassette.
Awesome. That's great, man.
This was the first cassette that I ever bought. You know, it was before they really had CDs.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a mail order from Germany, I remember.
Oh, so you were buying the cassettes from by the mail?
Yeah, I remember there was a catalog that had all this cool sounding music in, you know, just the description was like, you know, and then I saw that Black album, you know, like, what is that? You know, Metallica, you know. So that was my first.
Man, we had the same thing here in Spain. You know, we had the catalog, you know, and you would see the pictures and you would just trust the pictures, you know, the portraits, the little ones, right? Yeah, it was called, in Spain, it was called disco play, you know?
Okay.
What was the name of that? No, you don't remember the name?
I wouldn't remember the name, no.
Okay. But I remember that pretty well, man. We had those catalogs as well, you know, and you could buy from there. It was crazy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, now you think about it, you know, nowadays you just click on the computer and you have everything. Oh, by the way,
those were pre-Spotify and YouTube days.
Yeah. Let me put this out of your picture. Well, anyway, man, it's crazy, you know. It's so important, right? It's what you just said. It's so important when you're a kid. The music that you listen as a kid is what goes with you for the rest of your life, right? Even afterwards, of course, you shape a little bit your taste in music, and maybe you develop your taste, and it's great. But I mean, still to this day, man, every time I listen to Jimi Hendrix or Led Zeppelin or Deep Purple or all those things, it's like, yeah, this is where I really, where really keeps me pumping.
I don't know how it is for you, but you even keep circling back to those early influences.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because when I got into jazz, I had a phase where all I listened to was jazz, basically, and there was no rock and roll really in my life for a while. But then, that there comes a time you go through those phases, and then you always kind of reminded of who you really are. Like, those are those childhood memories as well. And then it kind of fuses together, I think,
I think so too, man. I think so. And sometimes I like thinking about that as something similar to languages, right? You have your main languages, the language in which you grew up with, right? The language that you talk to your parents, and then the other ones that you learn when you're older, right? But of course, the first one is always the deepest, right? It's the one that you get in which you can express better, right?
And I also think the first language or the culture that you come in, it shapes the way you think, the way you tick, basically,
Yeah.
So even though we can learn other languages, we're gonna speak them a little different, depending on where we are rooted, right?
True.
Depending on our mother tongue and our mother culture and so on. And I think that when you get a little older, you start embracing that more.
Yeah, it's true.
I remember there was a time where I was kind of fighting my German culture, my Germanness in me.
Okay,
because I want to swing, I want to be cool and American, and then there came a time later on where I realized, okay, this is what makes me unique,
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think it's wise, man, and well, especially for people like us that we've been, away from our motherland, right? It's normal, right? Because when you're outside, you just want to fit in, right? You just want to be just one more, right? But then you start realizing that there are certain aspects of your culture that you have very deep into yourself, and of course you can't understand yourself without those things, right? So it's pretty cool, but if we start talking about music again, for instance, it's very interesting to see like jazz players. It's an example, right? But you can tell right away when a jazz player came from rock and roll, because it's still there, right? The rock and roll is still there, even though they're playing jazz or fusion or things like that, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that or not?
Well, yeah. I mean, all my favorite jazz voices have that blues backbone. If I think of, I think of Miles, I think of Pat Metheny, Mike Stern, Chaco, all the ones that I'm really drawn to. They kind of have that bluesiness to them, or they definitely they can't play rock and roll just as much. They're not.
Got it.
Because sometimes in Europe, jazz is something like concert music. It's more compared to classical music.
Yeah, I understand.
And that's kind of what I enjoy in the States, or when you learn jazz there, where jazz is, it comes out of a subculture. It's not for the concert halls. It came from the brothels, from the street. And it was very tied to everyday life. If you think of New Orleans jazz and so on, and the just the marching kind of
parade, right? Like a parade
stuff and stuff. Yeah, and then everybody soloing at the same time and just having a good time. It's party music, basically.
It is party music. Yeah, I mean it was born like that, right? Like something to celebrate, to dance to, right? And things like that. Yeah, it's a little more laid back, right? Than
Yeah, yeah.
probably we see it
So
in Europe.
that backbone, you know, I think it's very important for us guitar players to really, at least for me, you know, to really have those roots in blues. I think just makes you a richer guitarist.
Yeah, it's true, man. Sometimes you've you know, I've been talking to other guitar players, like maybe rockers or even metal players, right? And they seem like they're not very into blues. Like for instance, sometimes I've been teaching, right, a real metalhead, right? Someone who
Yeah.
really just wants to do you
Yeah.
know, that thing. And sometimes I've had a hard time trying to make them understand how important it is blues, you know, even for their own music, right? They don't seem to find the connection. I'm sure it's just because they're too young, you know. I'm
think
sure
so.
eventually they would get there, you know.
Because, you know, if I think of my favorite metal bands, you know, and I'm not saying they're great blues players or so, you know, but if I think of bands like Pantera or Metallica or the likes, you know, they definitely have that blues influence in their playing.
Oh yeah. Oh
And,
yeah.
you know, couldn't do, or, you know, think of Zakk Wylde or guys like that, you know, it's maybe not hardcore metal.
No, but I mean, but I understand. Yeah. He's got this huge high gain sound, right, with the Les Paul and everything. But he's playing blues. He's playing just very high octane blues, right?
Yeah. The attitude is also blues. You know, it's maybe not the style, but the attitude comes from blues, I believe. Yeah.
True. Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Or even, you know, even if I think of Slayer, you know, there's kind of like this blues element in it for my taste. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but maybe that's something that, you know, it takes a little while, a little maturity for you to realize that and to make those connections, you know, that where does music come from, you know?
Well, but that's the beauty of music as well. You know, it's as you go start getting older, you start realizing things that when you were younger you wouldn't, right? And that's the beauty of it. And the important thing is to keep liking more and more bands and more artists, right? Rather than less, because of course, you know, I think we all have had that phase in which, you know, you're 15 and you're just, you know, I just want to hear this band because they are the real deal, and the other ones are just sellouts, or, you know, or just this style of music because the other thing I'm not really interested in, you know.
Right.
So, that happens, you know, to some of us, at least I remember it happened to me for a while.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's talk about something else, man, because of course this you know, this everybody knows by now we are in, you know, May 2021. We've been in the middle of the biggest mess of our lives. I mean, all of us, especially us musicians. There's no concerts, there's no tours, there's no way of doing a normal life as a musician. So what have you been doing all this time, man?
Well, you know, there's one thing though.
Okay.
A tremolo system that stays in tune.
Oh yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah. So at least you can be at home and play, you know, and have fun.
Yeah. You can abuse your guitar and stay in tune.
Exactly, yeah. So there's some satisfying moments, even in a crisis like this.
True.
But seriously, you know, it comes down to re-evaluating what is important for you and what our job is as a musician, right? Because I mean, my tours too, we got all canceled, and you know, I book a lot of shows myself, so I kind of had that double pressure or double role of performer that had shows canceled and booking agent that had shows canceled. And so I had to figure out what to do, you know. And but I realized too that there's far more ways to communicate music, or, you know, the joy of music really, and the inspiration than you would think. Yeah, so in a way this is a blessing in disguise, at least for me it was. So, you know, in my case, I pivoted pretty quickly. I was doing some production work around July, August of last year. So, you know, that meant I didn't have to perform anyhow. But right after that, I had already decided to found a guitar mentoring platform. And
Okay.
that idea was actually born already like years before, kind of hidden. You know, I always had some students, but more than students, you know, had people that would just kind of ask me for advice once in a while, yeah, about playing the guitar and about maybe even career stuff, you know, or equipment, whatever. So, you know, I kind of decided, okay, now is a good time. I'm just gonna share my musical world, my musical skills in this form of a guitar mentoring platform.
Yeah.
And that's what I started doing in October. And, you know, fast forward now a little over 6 months, you know, I have now a few dozen students that I work with on a weekly basis.
Okay.
And so they're part of the platform. And I basically give them training each week. And I just help them to become well-rounded musicians and guitarists that whatever goals they have, basically, you know, that's kind of the special thing about my platform. Is called Total Guitar Transformation. So the idea is to really help people to help them reach their musical goals. You know, some of those goals might be musicals, of course. You know, I want to be able to play with more freedom and want to be able to use chord tones or whatever. I want to be able to improvise and yeah, but some of those goals are also maybe more like, you know, I want to record my first album. How do I do that? You know, I want to play in a band when this COVID crisis is over. Or I just want to inspire my kids, you know, because a lot of the people in my program are parents, and they just want to share the music with their kids, you know, but whatever dream they might have that maybe got a little lost in the last 10 years or so, you know, raising a family or working. Yeah, I'm kind of the guy for them to kind of rekindle their passion and be their coach on their creative journey, kind of.
That's great, man. That's pretty cool. I mean, and I'm pretty sure with all your experience and everything, you have more to say than a lot of other guitar teachers. Yeah, of course, I don't want to disrespect anybody else, but a good thing about your career is that you've done it all, right? You've toured, you've recorded, you've produced, you know. Right. Whereas other people maybe don't have so much experience in different aspects of music. So that's great because you can actually talk to your students about that, right?
Right. And I actually don't consider myself as a teacher. You know, I'm basically a coach. I see myself as a mentor and coach. Okay. And my end goal is to make colleagues out of them. You know, I want them to be a success story. So, you know, the most teachers that I had, it was more like there had to be this relationship of student and teacher had to always remain intact, kind of. There's very few teachers that at some point I felt, okay, now I'm kind of on eye level with him, you know, he accepts me as a human being. I'm worthy, you know, and we can go for a beer together or so. Yeah. So my vision is kind of like, I want to help my students also to graduate mentally from a novice or apprentice to a colleague of mine, you know, someone that I wouldn't be afraid to recommend for a gig. You know, that would be my goal.
That's the greatest achievement as a, well, you don't like calling it teacher, but I'm gonna say teacher, but you call it mentor. but I think that might be the greatest achievement, you know, when you see your student you know, being, like you said, like a peer for you, right? Like right. That's great, man. That's incredible. At least I remember, because I've been a teacher myself in several in several moments of my life. And for instance, I just had one student who ended up, being a professional musician, which is, for me, is the greatest, accomplishment as a teacher that I can have, right? Because it's what you just said, he's a peer already, he's just a colleague for me, and that's great, man.
Yeah. And the other thing that, I think makes my program totally different. I mean, you kind of see Jimi back there, right, in the background.
Yeah.
And the reason is, when I did the platform, it was very clear to me that I didn't just want to offer, like, ask me anything, I'll teach you anything kind of teacher, where students just come with their songs and say, hey, I want to learn this song. But instead, I wanted to make a pretty tight-knit schedule, and I decided that I wanted to pick one guitar player and use that music to relate all those guitar topics, no matter if it's theory or technical stuff or phrasing or improvisation, related to one player only. And that player is, ended up being Jimi Hendrix.
That's great,
because
man.
Jimi was a big influence on my playing, and not as a teenager, actually, in my Metallica days, I didn't get Jimi. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, of course.
It was too chaotic, and it seemed too. I felt he was always on drugs, almost.
Yeah.
And then it took me years to kind of warm up my ears to that sound and to that kind of fast sound and that looseness in his playing.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much one can learn from studying Jimi's music, and there's a lot of people that are intimidated by him because he's hard to transcribe. There's a lot of soli that are just completely wacko, it seems, and just feedback. So for a beginner, where do you start with something like that?
Yeah. I know it's pretty challenging, man. Actually, I when I was a kid, I loved listening to Jimi Hendrix, but I could never learn any of his music because of that reason, because it's not easy at all. It's complicated. Yeah.
It's not easy, but there's ways to simplify it, and there's basically, if you can understand more the underlying mechanisms of his music, or for example, I teach the Hendrix chordal style, or just like when just be able to find your way all over the fretboard with those kind of chordal, those Hendrixy kind of
with the double stops and everything.
Double stops. It's a great way to organize your fretboard, and
it is,
because so many people just learning a straight up scale basically, and with this approach you learn chords and melodies at the same time. And you kind of get the mindset that there isn't such a huge difference between rhythm playing and lead playing.
It is. That's right. That's right.
Really helpful, I think, because it took me years to kind of get more rhythm ideas into my lead playing. So I think it's a great idea to start early on with rhythmical ideas. And your lead playing is already rhythm playing too, like it was for Jimi basically.
And actually,
so this is,
sorry, that actually that side of Jimi is sometimes underrated, right? Because everybody's thinking about their leads, his leads, and all the solos and the fuzz and all that. But his core work, it's outstanding, right? It's incredible, man.
You're absolutely right. It's way over 50% that has more of that soulful touch. In my opinion, that's what separates him a lot from the other 70s guitar gods like Clapton, Page, Blackmore, so. I love them all. But Jimi had this soul aspect, had this real Southern American influence, because he lived in Nashville for years, and all the other guys just had this more bluesy, straight up blues influence, didn't have that soul touch. So I really like that.
Again, geography, right? It's what we said before.
Absolutely.
It's crazy, man. So it's I think it's pretty interesting that you use that approach to mentor your students, because I think it's, first of all, I think it's a great idea because they have something they can relate to. They have, of course, a huge artist like Jimi Hendrix, and at the same time, it's a fun way of learning, right? Because you're not talking about rocket science. You're talking about,
it's way more fun, and it's even it even feeds your accomplishment or your pride. Like let's imagine an intermediate player saying, oh yeah, I got this new teacher. Yeah, I'm learning Jimi Hendrix, manic depression. Really, Jimmy? So you immediately you get a little bit of street cred. You play Jimi Hendrix. I mean, for an intermediate player, it's kind of a big deal.
It is.
So it helps to build confidence in a major way. When you discover the secrets of Jimmy's music, and you see it's relatable. It's not crazy, out of this world, unachievable, but no, I can actually play this music.
Yeah. Man, I think it's a great idea. By the way, for the people who are interested in maybe trying the total guitar transformation, right? It's the name of your program. We're gonna leave. Yeah, there you go. Total guitar transformation. There you go. We're gonna leave the link in the description of this video, as long as all the Ulrich's links to to his music, to all the works that he's doing. He's very active nowadays online, of course, like everybody, but especially him, because he's a very, very hardworking musician, and he's gonna be, so if you guys are interested in trying this program, in reaching out to him, just we're gonna leave the link here in the description.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's because that way we can all make a community here at Vegatrem. That's what.
And by the way, we have several Vegatrem fans in my program, because playing Hendrix, you
really need to use a good tremolo. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, how many videos there are where Hendrix is just so frustrated and even like angry because he's not in tune.
Of course.
Over 50% of the videos that I've watched, on research, he's looking pissed. I mean, if he had that tremolo system, I think history might have changed a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's in that way we're a little more lucky than poor Jimmy.
We are definitely lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, man. So let's we wanna put some of your music in this program, so people can listen to the things that you're doing lately. So we're gonna put your newest single, right? What's the name of that that song?
Yeah, actually, I just did this song for my students. It's called Purple Eyes. Okay. And it's kind of in that Hendrixy chordal style, and as an inspiration for my students.
Oh, nice. So, okay. So you did it thinking about that teaching platform that you have, and it's like a some way of showcasing the stuff that you're doing, right?
It's kind of, I mean, I did this workshop, and so I kind of composed that song with the workshop in mind.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's watch it right away.
Awesome.
Well, that was fantastic, man. That was cool. Very, very nice. Very nice. So
And you
again,
like the fog, yeah?
yeah, man. It was like London, you know, London during the night. It was cool. It was cool. Okay, so yeah, again, you guys have all Ulrich's links in the description of this video, and if you want to reach out to him, you know, he's one of the family as well. So whenever you guys want.
For sure.
Okay, man. So
yeah,
it's been a pleasure. You wanna say something else before we wrap?
Yeah, you know, there's one more thing that I haven't mentioned so far. So I've been working on a new album during this lockdown, and you know, it's maybe not a huge surprise with all my Jimi Hendrix studies that I did this year. I just ended up doing a tribute album, and I already recorded those tracks before the first lockdown in March.
Okay.
And then I was stuck at home. I didn't have my Marshalls and everything. So I ended up inviting a bunch of guest players, you know, people that inspired me over the years. And it turned out to be a real special record.
Nice.
You know, I got David Grissom from Austin, you know, he plays on it. And then Matt Schofield plays on the song. Greg Koch did a solo on
Man,
the
that's great stuff. Come on.
Yeah, and then I'm really happy, you know, I got Tommy Shannon, Stevie Ray Vaughan's bass player.
Oh yeah,
got
Tommy
him
Shannon.
to play bass on Little Wing. And yeah, I mean, that's just incredible. That
Man, I can't believe we were gonna leave this out. Come on.
Yeah. And then last but not least, also Chris Farlow, yeah, the singer of Colosseum.
Okay.
He also sings a song, and so it's kind of like this wonder, like all-star album that I never expected it to be that way, but because of the lockdown, I reached out to all those people. You know, some of them are friends, some of them just admired, and so yeah, it just became this wonderful thing again through this lockdown. So, you know, talking about blessing in disguise.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who really think this experience is shaping their lives. I mean, unfortunately for a lot of people, for worse, but other lucky people are thinking it's for the better. So I'm so glad that you're one of them, right? Because well, you're getting a lot of things done, and I think it's great, man. It's
if you have a choice, you know, if you have the luxury of a choice, you know, then I think you can always turn it into an opportunity and into a blessing. And of course, some people are not that lucky, they don't have the choice, but we, you know, in the Western world, I think we're pretty lucky overall. We have a roof over our head. You know, we should not forget that we have those resources, right? So
true.
Instead of whining around, you know, I think it's good to do something positive and constructive and pull yourself out of that swamp.
Yeah, man. Amen to that.
Amen.
That's great. That's great. Okay, man. So, do you want to talk a little bit about your friends in India as well?
Oh, you know, Thanks for reminding me of that. Yeah. I actually just sent them the first payment today. You know, those were guys that I met 2 years ago. They founded a music school in India, I mean, like 10 years ago. And my friend Gary, he's the founder of the music school, and that is in Mumbai, you know, and they teach young kids. Some of them are very simple family backgrounds, and they give those children so much, you know, with teaching them music. And through this COVID crisis, I mean, we hear it on the news that in India it's going really bad right now. They had a huge resurge of COVID cases. And so Gary, you know, he had to close down the school already. He lost the lease on the school building, and now they found a new place. They start renovating, you know, got a loan from the bank and everything.
Great.
And yeah, great. But now it's a new lockdown. Everything is locked down again.
Oh yeah,
the
that's
workers,
right.
You know, he's like paying left and right and doesn't get it finished. And also his father passed away in October, you know, so he's completely devastated and just, So I did a fundraiser. I started a fundraiser I'll give you that link as well, and
we're gonna put it in the description of the video as well. So everyone who wants to collaborate, everyone who wants to help these people in India can do it, because
even just everyone just pitch in $5 or $10, they will go a major way if a lot of people
anything helps, anything,
exactly.
in everybody's possibilities, of course.
It's good karma,
It is good karma, that's for sure.
Not just for Indian people, it's good karma for everyone.
For all of us, that's true, man, that's true. Well, these moments, these very hard and dark moments that we are living, as a whole society, right, have to make us understand what's the really important stuff, right? And these things are really the important things, right? At the end of the day, it's the only thing that matters is what you said before, having a roof over your head, having a plate of food, if we can make the difference with people that are less fortunate than us, let's go ahead and do it.
It gives music also a different context, different meaning. If we can put music into the service of those kind of actions, then music becomes a completely different meaning than just play out of boredom, basically.
Man, of course. Do you think, and probably this is gonna be my last question for you tonight, but do you think overall your experience as a musician have shaped your character? I mean, but of course you're gonna say yes, but what I'm trying to ask is, do you think you're a better person because you've lived through music, a lot of things, or not?
No. I think in some ways it made me a more conscious person, and definitely you become a different, you have a different outlook on life. But I just think it would be just be arrogant to say better. What is better?
I understand.
I know so many musicians that are like failures in life, and fantastic musicians, so I don't think that music makes you a better person. I think potentially music can make you more aware and more fulfilled person. But what you do with the gifts that you get, that's kind of like, that's up to you, no matter what field you're in. It's just for me it was my pathway. I really on an early age kind of felt, okay, this was it for me. This was my path, and it took a long time for my parents to kind of accept that.
Got it.
But I think everyone has to find his own path, and it's just, it doesn't really matter what field you're in.
So bottom line would be that even if you're a musician, you're not special, right? You're just like everybody else, right?
I think so.
I think the same. I think, sometimes people see musicians in particular, or artists in general, as some kind of special kind of human being, but I don't think I think we're pretty much the same, a little weirder than the rest. But
I mean, of course we're not normal, I wouldn't go that far and say we're normal, but we can all learn from each other. That's what I think. And I think if you really go deep into in any field, then you're gonna end up being some sort of a freak in the best sense. It doesn't matter if you're in finance, or if you're a politician, or if you
or a scientist,
scientist or martial arts guy. My father is a scientist, actually, and it's always fascinating how much of our thought process is actually the same or very similar. And just because he's also very passionate about what he does, there's many points of contact. Yeah, so I just think when you go deep into a field, and you do those 10,000 hours, 20,000 hours, then you're always going to end up as a very passionate freak.
That's great, man. Well, I'm gonna
Those are good closing words.
Yeah. A very passionate freak, man. I think we're gonna, gonna title this, the subtitle of this show. It's gonna be
Passionate
Guitar
Freak.
Chat for Passionate Freaks.
I like it. Yeah. I mean, think of Vegatrem. Vegatrem are passionate freaks.
Oh yeah,
you guys are passionate freaks.
Yeah, for sure.
How can you make a great product if you're not passionate freaks?
That's right, man. That's right. Yeah. It's crazy. It's pretty cool. I love that. I'm gonna steal the credit from you, man. It's a bad thing that everybody's watching here, so they know already that you came up with it. But it doesn't
we got
matter.
The trademark. No, we have it documented that we came up with it.
Okay.
So it's ours. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it will stay in the family. In this Vegatrem family. So everybody's gonna be welcome to label themselves as passionate freaks. Yeah.
Like that, right?
Yeah, like that. Awesome, man. Okay, so it's time for us to finish. Thank you very much for everyone for sticking around with Ulrich. Thank you, Ulrich. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, man. And next time we have to see each other in person, because every time we do, we have a blast, right?
Yeah, absolute pleasure, SEFO.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna keep doing this every week. So see you next Thursday with another episode of Guitar Chat. Till then, play a lot your guitar and have fun, and see you next week, I guess.
Keep rocking.
Peace.